Okay, for this video, I'll be discussing admissibility of evidence. So, basically, ang topic to is all about anong requirement para maging admissible yung evidence. Okay, what are the requirements so that evidence will be admissible in court? So, there are only two general requisites for admissibility of evidence, and these are relevancy and competency. So ito yung dalawa na to ang generally no, ang requirement para maging admissible yung evidence in court. So what is relevancy? Well, relevancy must have such relation. So the keyword here is relation to the fucking issue as to induce beliefs, no, para paniwalaan the existence and non-existence of a certain fact. Okay? So the keyword for relevancy is relation. Or there's connection, actual bearing and connection sa kaso. So, ang kaso ay drugs, malamang-lamang ang relevant evidence doon is yung drugs itself, drug paraphernalia, mark money, okay? Kung nandun, okay? So, yan yung relevancy. No? May connection yung evidence sa kaso. Kasi kung walang connection, like for example, rape yung kaso, at may nakuwang drug sa bag ng biktima, baka walang relationship yun kasi rape yung kaso. Okay? So that's relevancy, may connection. No? Ang competency, evidence does not belong to the class of evidence. Okay? Hindi siya nabilong, which is excluded by the Constitution, by law, or by the rules of court, by these rules. So, yan yung competency. Kasi may mga ebidensyang excluded. Okay? Kasi pag ang ebidensya na yun excluded by the Constitution, by law, or by the rules, then that is incompetent. Para maging competent siya, it does not belong. It is not excluded by law, Constitution, or rules. For example, anong ebidensya ang excluded by the Constitution? Well, yung unreasonable search and seizure. Sini-search ka, pagtapos may nakuhang firearm sa'yo, may nakuhang drugs, hinuli ka. That's unreasonable search and seizure. So what happens to the evidence? That is proof of poisonous tree and that is inadmissible because it's incompetent. Okay? Violation yan ng Constitution. O ito, the right against self-incrimination, that is also found in the Constitution. Yung law, we have anti-wiretapping law. Kung yung ebidensya laban sa iyo ay wiretap conversation, that is inadmissible because it's incompetent. It is excluded by law. Or yung violation ng bank secrecy law. Okay? Illegally obtain yung bank deposit mo, no? That's violation of law, so that's incompetent. Ano mga ebidensya naman ng violation of rules of court? Like yung pare, the father, the priest can testify against the confessor. Okay? O yung penitent. The lawyer cannot testify against his client. Okay? That's heresy rule. Yan yung mga excluded by the rules. So those are incompetent evidence. Now, to discuss further, that's our illustration. Relevant evidence. So for example, this is the crime scene. Ito yung crime scene. Okay? Alin na dito ang mga relevant evidence? Okay, letter A. Yung letter A, letter A. Ito yung male body. Is this relevant to the case? For example, the case is pregnant and murder. Is this relevant to the case? Yes. Okay, dead body yan eh. It's relevant. Yung letter B, dito nakita yung gun. Okay, is that relevant? Yes. Okay. Letter C, dito nakita yung bloody gloves. Okay. Is that relevant? Yes. Okay. Letter D, ito yung overturned chair. Is this relevant? Maybe to prove na may commotion sa loob ng kwarto or sa sala mismo. Okay? Yung letter E is the sofa. Ito. Ano ang connection ng sofa sa kaso ng murder? Baka wala. Okay? Unless kung may blood stain dyan. Okay? So kung the sofa alone is irrelevant kasi walang connection. Walang relation sa kaso ang sofa sa murder. Okay? Kasi whether murder is committed or not, the sofa is there. Nandyan lang yan. Okay? Walang pagbabago dyan. No? Okay? So, that's relevancy. punta naman tayo sa incompetency or competency. Okay, ito yung mga example ng incompetent evidence. Pulis kalookan, pinasok ang isang bahay kahit walang warrant. Alam naman natin, di ba? Pag pinasok ang bahay mo na walang warrant, that is violation of our constitutional right against unreasonable search and seizure. So whatever evidence that is obtained in this unreasonable search and seizure is inadmissible. That is incompetent. That is prohibited or that is excluded by the Constitution. No? Kaya may kasama pang bata na nagbulsa ng ilang gamit. Nagnakaw pa itong bata na to. Okay? Okay. Si father, what if itong confessor na to, nagkumpisa ka father na nakapatay siya? Can the priest testify? No. Because it is excluded by the rules of court. A priest cannot testify. Okay? Kasi violation ng privilege communication. Ito yung kaso ni Gloria before na yung Hello Garcia scandal. Okay? If you don't know, yung nabutan niyo po yung Hello Garcia scandal, yan, Hello Garcia scandal. Kasi, yung conversation pala, ito si Committee Commissioner Garciliano at saka former President Arroyo, nag-uusap yung dalawa sa telepono. Na-wiretap pala yun, na-record pala yun. Okay? Na-record pala yun. Kasi sabi ni Arroyo, hello Garcia, abot pa ng 1 milyon kung alam ko dyan sa Maguindanao. Okay? So, bawal naman mag-usap yung commissioner at saka yung presidente. Pero, can you use the wiretap conversation against Arroyo? Actually, no. Hindi. Bakit? Because it is violation of the law. We have anti-wiretapping law. Unless you have court order in case of terrorism. So, yan yung incompetent evidence. Now, test of relevancy. The test of relevancy is whether or not the evidence presented has such relation to the fact in issue. Meron bang relationship? Meron bang connection? Ang ebidensya sa kaso, as induce belief existence or non-existence. Okay, so yan yung relationship, yan yung relevancy. Ito, tignan nyo. Can you still be friends with your ex? Kaya mo bang makipagkaibigan sa ex mo? Actually, normal yan. Normal yan makipagkaibigan ka sa ex mo. No way. Kasi at some point of time, naging relevant siya sa buhay mo. Diba? Naging relevant siya sa buhay mo. Okay? Bakit? What if siya yung first love mo, no? First kiss, first hug, first blood. No? So yan, naging relevant siya sa buhay mo kasi meron kayong relationship. Relation. Okay? Kaya relevant yan kasi merong relation. Okay? Katulad ng ex mo, naging relevant siya sa buhay mo kasi nga meron kayong relationship. Okay? So that's connection between relevancy and relationship. Now, let us discuss the difference between relevant evidence, material evidence, and competent evidence. Ano bang relevant evidence? Is evidence having such, again, no, relation to the fucking issue as we use belief in existence or non-existence. So, relation pa rin. Ito namang material is evidence directed to prove a fact in issue. Ito ay pwede mo prove ng ibang issue, a fact in issue as determined by the rules of substantive law and pleadings. Na makikita mo sa pleadings or sa complaint. Okay, the fact in issue. Okay? Other issue. Competent evidence which is not excluded. Pag sinabi ng competent, not excluded by rules of court, by statutes, by law, and by the Constitution. Kasi pag excluded by law yan, by rules or by Constitution, that is incompetent. Okay? Now, let's have a specific example. The evidence is a firearm. Okay? Imagine, firearm yung ebidensya. And the purpose of presenting the firearm is that the firearm was the one used to kill the victim. No? The one used to kill the victim. And the fucking issue here is whether or not death was due to gunshot wound. Okay? So, yun yung issue eh. Ang cause of death ba ay ang gunshot wound? Ang gunshot wound ba at saka yung firearm may connection? May relationship? Siyempre. No? Since firearm and gunshot ay may relation, ang tawag, the kind of evidence, the firearm is what? Relevant evidence yan. Relevant evidence yan. Because firearm presented as logical reasonable connection, may connection to the fact in issue. May connection sila to the fact in issue. Okay? Kasi pag sinabi, okay, what if this is not gunshot wound? Okay. Example, nakalito stab wound. Tapos firearm. May connection ba ang stab wound sa firearm? Wala. Kasi hindi mo pwedeng gamitin yung firearm panaksak ng tao. Okay? Hindi na pwede. So, walang connection yun. Pero this time, gunshot at saka firearm, merong connection. That's relevant. Yung si connection, relevant yun. The firearm is relevant to the case. Okay? Now, again, the evidence is a firearm. The firearm used by the accused is without license. Ito namang issue is without license. Ibang issue to possess or permit carry firearms. Okay? Whether or not the issue here, whether or not the firearm is with necessary license to possess and or accompanied by a permit to carry. Meron ba siyang license? Meron ba siyang PTC or permit to carry firearms outside residence? So, yun yung issue. Ibang issue yun. That's another issue. No? Not related to killing. Then that is material. The firearm is material in this case. The firearm must be presented to prove the issue as determined by the forms of pleadings itself. Okay, so yan yung material. No? The firearm is material to prove that wala silang license to possess or permit to carry firearms. So again, the evidence is a firearm. Okay? And the purpose was, the firearm was used to kill the victim. That's the purpose. And whether or not the firearm was legally obtained. Ito bang firearm to is legally obtained? Kasi kung hindi ito legally obtained, baka inadmissible yan. That is fruit of opposition 3. So, pag legally obtained ang issue, then that is competency. Okay? Competency yan. If the firearm was obtained in accordance with the rules of court and constitution or statute. Otherwise, kung hindi siya in accordance with the rules of court, constitution, and statute, it is incompetent. It's incompetent. Okay, so yan yung different types of evidence according to admissibility. No, admissibility. So let's go to the portion where we will answer a few questions as a as application to the items that I have discussed. No? So let's start with number 1. When is evidence presented in court for admissibility considered relevant to the issue? Relevant to the issue. So the keyword is relevant. Okay? Is it letter A, when it is not excluded by rules? Letter B, when it has direct bearing and actual connection to the fucking issue? Letter C, when it is not repugnant in taste, no? Hindi mapanghit yung lasa. When it is not immoral. Well, the answer is, remember, relevancy yung tanong dito, kaya actual, bearing, and connection. Remember, connection, relationship, because the question is relevancy. Okay? So, yan yung tatandaan nyo, no? Actual, direct bearing, and actual connection to the fucking issue. Number 2. Pastillas was killed and suffered stab wounds. Okay? Suffered stab wounds. Cardo, an investigator, theorized the crime to be homicide. No? So, kaso, homicide to. Alden is suspected to have committed the crime. So, si Alden siya yung suspect. No? Cardo recovered. Ano recover yan? Caliber 33 revolver at the scene. What is the admissibility of the caliber 33 revolver as evidence in court? Is it admissible because it is irrelevant? That's letter A. Letter B, admissible since it is irrelevant. Letter C, inadmissible since it is irrelevant. Or D, depends on discretion of the judge. Well, remember this. The crime, the cause of death is stab wound. And the item recovered is caliber 38 revolver. Anong connection ng revolver sa stab wound? So, wala. So, ano yan? It is inadmissible. Because it is irrelevant. Walang connection. Walang connection ang stab wounds sa caliber 38. Kasi nga, hindi mo pwedeng gamitin panaksak yung caliber 38 revolver. Okay? Wala namang stab wound dyan. Okay, number 3. If the evidence gathered by Cardo the scene of crime is a knife. This time, knife na. What is the admissibility of the knife as evidence in court? Remember, stab wound pa rin yung, stab wound, tapos knife. Pero may connection yun. Yes, kung may connection, ano yan? It is admissible since it is relevant. Admissible yan since it is relevant. Kasi nga, stab wound at saka knife, may connection na yun. 4. The evidence gathered by Cardo is caliber 38 revolver. Okay? Cardo gathered evidence to prove that it was unlawfully possessed. Ito naman, ibang kaso, unlawfully possessed by Alden. Ibang issue to, unlawful possession ng firearms mo to. What is the admissibility of calibrated relatable as evidence in court? Because since this is another issue, uh, is it admissible since it's irrelevant, admissible since relevant, or admissible since it is material, or admissible since material? So the answer will be letter D, material. Kasi itong caliber 30 na to, ay material yan sa unlawful possession cases. Unlawful possession of firearms cases. Material yan. Okay? This is another issue. 5. The evidence gathered by Cardo is an admission voluntarily given by Alden. So this time, ang ebidensya admission voluntary. So extrajudicial confession. Okay? Given by Alden during investigation. However, Cardo did not inform, hindi nag-inform kay Alden of his rights before questioning. So walang Miranda warning, walang presence of a lawyer. What is the validity of the admission given by Alden? Yung admission given voluntarily by Alden. Ano ang admissibility niyan? Well, that is inadmissible because it's incompetent. It is excluded by the Constitution. Okay? Kasi kailangan, when a person makes extrajudicial confession, kailangan mayroong lawyer. Ha? Kailangan na po siya sa kanyang right, the right to remain silent. Okay? Otherwise, that's incompetent. That is excluded by the Constitution or by law under Republic Act 7438. 6. The evidence gathered by Cardo is an ID card. This time, ang ebidensya naman ay ID card left on the crime scene. What is the admissibility of evidence gathered by Cardo? So, it is admissible since it will help in establishing the identity of the suspect. Because it's ID card, no? Bakit naiwan yung ID card niya doon? Okay, so that's admissible since it will help in the establishing the identity of the suspect. Okay? That's ID card and identity of the suspect. Okay, number 7. When is evidence relevant? Okay, ito, relevant. I think tapos na ito kanina, no? Relevant, again, ang titira natin, basta relevant yung pinag-usapan ay ang relation. Okay, relevant, it has such a relation to the fact in issue. Okay, relevant yan. 8. John made a confession to Father Francis that he killed a certain Peter out of hatred. Later, John was arrested with the police and were charged with murder. Can Father Francis, yung pinagkumpisalan niya, testify in court? Si Father ba pwede mag-testify laban sa isang confessor? The answer is no. Because the confession is incompetent evidence. It is excluded by rules of court. Incompetent yan. Okay? Because it is excluded by rules of court. Hindi rin siya involuntary. Pag yung confession siya, voluntary yan. Wala namang involuntary confession. No? Sa pare. No? Now, 9. Patrolman Yamato and Maria were asked by their chief of police to conduct surveillance against the drag queen in their area, si Nami. Okay, so conduct surveillance sa drag queen, no, sa kanilang area, si Nami. The two officers made a video recording of the house of Nami in order to identify who frequent on the said place. It's a surveillance video admissible. Itong surveillance video na to, is this admissible as evidence? Okay? Is it A, because it is not excluded by law? B, yes, because it is material. C, no, because it's wiretapping. D, no, because it is incompetent evidence. Well, the answer here is letter A. Okay? Surveillance video is not covered by wiretapping. It's not wiretapping. Kasi ang wiretapping, ang pinagbawalan yung pagre-record sa mga private conversation. Ito naman hindi naman ito conversation, nire-record nila yung binibidyo lang nila yung bahay ni Nami kung sino yung palagi yung pumunta doon. So that is not excluded by law. That's allowed. No? That's allowed. Hindi siya covered ng wiretapping law. 10. Evidence related to the issue by reason of common sense logic is called relevant. Kasi nga related. Relevant. Okay? So I guess that's the last portion of my discussion on admissibility of evidence.